Hello.
Hello.
You said
Neither
this
of
is
us are wearing pants. God. Welcome to episode 21. I'm wearing pants.
I'm not wearing pants, but I'm wearing shorts.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they just listened to this, it would.
Uncanny Fitness. I mean, not Uncanny Fitness. I Am You podcast, uncut.
So today,
What are we going to talk about?
doing what we want to do.
Like a millennial that just like spoiled and just does whatever he or she wants to do?
So I had this thought. Actually, I didn't think about millennials, but okay. So I read it in this. I read it in this book, Illusions: The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah, and the Messiah says this.
What is okay? What does the Messiah say?
Okay, I feel like I need to go to the book, but I'm not gonna find it. So basically, he says, "Do what you want." Okay, so the Messiah says, "Everyone can do what they want to do." And then the other guy, his name's Richard in the book, he says, no, everyone can do what they want to do as long as it doesn't harm someone else. And then the Messiah thought up a thought form. So basically he thought up a person. He thought up a vampire and had the vampire come in and say to Richard, like, oh, can I have a little bit of your blood? He's like, I don't need a lot, but if I don't get some, then I'll be in horrible pain and I'll eventually die. I just need a little bit of blood. And Richard says, like, no, you can't have any of my blood. Like, blood will be shed if you come anywhere near me. He's like, I'll kill you if you come anywhere near me. And
okay.
And then eventually the Messiah kind of like laughs and has the vampire stop doing what it's doing and just walk away, because it's not actually a vampire, it's just a thought form. So that was kind of how he was showing Richard, like, both of you were doing what you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you say no to giving him blood, then it harms him.
Oh, so I feel like now we're getting into like philosophy class,
Mm-hmm.
which is like my least favorite thing when I was in school. Okay.
Oh, I love philosophy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. 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 So then, what was the conclusion?
The conclusion is you do whatever you want to do, and as you're doing what you want to do, in the book they brought in the law of attraction. If you're always doing what you want to do, then you bring in more of what you're doing. And then you love your life and you love what you're doing. So, of course, it's just like there's a balance to it. But after reading that, I thought, so I was like, so I don't want to do the dishes, so I'm not going to do the dishes. But what I do want is a clean house and a straight, nice house. So in order to have that, I want to wash the dishes, or I want to hire a nanny or a maid to wash the dishes. Right now, like, I would say I don't want to hire a nanny or a maid. I want to wash the dishes in order to have a clean house. I want to work out 2 to 3 times a week in order to keep my energy levels up, or blah, blah, blah. I want, like, so it also can, if you focus on, like, what you want and then having things aligned into that to go towards what you want, then you're also doing those things from a different perspective as well. Instead of like, oh, I have to wash the dishes, you're washing the dishes because you want a clean house. Oh, I have to work out, I'm washing the dishes.
So you're
because
talking
I want
about
to stay
like
balanced.
framing, being able to reframe whatever it is.
Yeah,
to
that's what I
actually
mean.
align it with like it is like something you want.
Yeah, it's aligned with something, a goal of yours. And for an external, it's something, in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's what came up after I read that. And I was like...
And then why did you want to talk about it?
because that is a good it was a good mental shift for me, so I'm sure it's a good mental shift for someone else. But then also the idea of doing things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Because I often, if I kind of look back at why I'm doing a lot of things, a very small sliver of my week is something I genuinely want to do.
Okay.
So I have been going out about a lot of things in my life of like, I have to do this for this or whatever. It wasn't coming from I want to do it. And actually some of the things I'm doing through my week are going to kind of drop off based off of what I want to do.
Okay, so...
Because I feel like many do things because they think they should do it, or they're doing it just for someone else. And you can do someone for someone else and want to do it. But there are times where, there are those, like, you can be a martyr. It's what Dominic calls it. Or, like, you're just doing it because someone else wants you to do it. So the energy around it.
Okay, so it's like there's stuff that, so again, I'm just
rephrasing,
summarizing, or parroting back to you what I think you're saying. Paraphrasing. I don't know. English is my second language. Okay, so what you're saying is there's stuff that you do that you might not necessarily actually choose to do.
Correct.
Right, you do it because you feel like you have to.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can actually get
clear
on why you're actually choosing to do it, it's still doing the same thing, but your experience of it and probably how well you could do it
is
would be completely different. Okay, now here's a question. What if you can't reframe it? What if when you try to reframe it, it feels worse? Like, you should, so for example, not that you would ever have this thought because you're, always energetic and excited about teaching yoga.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Christine? No. Right. But hypothetically, in an alternate universe.
This is the part you're going to clip out, too.
Yeah. In an alternate, you're the one edit. Alternate Ashley.
This is the part you're going to use to,
say,
hey,
I'm not going to do that part. Okay. That's something else. But in an alternate Ashley, it's like, I really don't feel like going and dealing with those fucking people today. I just don't, people are stupid, they're, whatever, I just want to be an introvert, okay? And then you're at that place, and then you're like, oh, but if I can reframe it and find why I want to do it, it's because if I go, then they'll actually feel more relaxed afterwards, they'll be in a more peaceful place. I'll probably be in a more peaceful place I can do it. But then you don't really even really fully feel aligned to that, right? It's almost like this thing you're just telling yourself, but you still don't feel congruent with that. Then what?
Well, if you're asking directly, with that situation, that one's easy for me because I really enjoy teaching at Full Circle.
Okay.
So then I can if that day I don't want to, I don't feel like teaching. Yeah. I will remember how grateful I am to be teaching at Full Circle.
Okay, well, we'll just use right? Okay, so I coach, right, at the gym, so I don't have to report to anyone. What if I don't want to deal with those fucking people? And I wake up, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, oh wait, no. Let me choose the why. Mm-hmm. And I just I can mentally come up with reasons, but I just can't connect with it, or I can't really resonate or be congruent with it. Then what? Because that's a challenge, right, for people. To even be aware of that, and if you're aware of it, sometimes you just can't do it.
Yeah.
I have my thoughts on that, but I'm asking you. Yeah.
Well, then I would, if you if you really can't fully connect to why that you want to do it, and if you feel that way often, then you should probably reevaluate that something in your life. Or...
So you're telling me I should reevaluate whether I should coach at the gym?
Yeah, if you really don't want to do it pretty generally and you can't connect to a why.
All right, if uncanny fitness goes away, this is the seed that's been planted. No, no, just kidding. Go ahead.
But you also have other coaches too.
Yeah.
So you could just like step back from the coaching. You could.
Yeah. I'm actually being. I'm playing the devil's advocate.
Okay.
Okay.
But then also, if it's just that like you don't feel that way often, and it's just one of those days where like you really just kind of want to chill out in your house, then and if there is an opportunity for some other coach to coach that morning, like if it's not too close notice, then reaching out and asking, or choosing to go because you connected to why, like I do want to coach here in the future, so I'm going to show up in this moment.
Yeah.
And if you feel like drained or something, then schedule some time off for yourself after that. There are very many different scenarios.
After we turn off the camera, you're going to punch me. Okay. So here's my opinion on it. Okay. So based on how, everything I'm studying, it's not the circumstances that's actually dictating whether I feel like I could do it or not. It's whether I have enough coherent energy available to do whatever it is I need to do. Right? So the pain isn't a circumstance. The pain is actually the lack of energy or not experiencing like I don't have enough energy to do whatever it is. If I have more than enough energy, then whatever happens, it just becomes just something that's happening, or like an opportunity to go.
Yeah.
Right? So from an energetic standpoint, if I woke up in the morning, right, and I'm just like, oh, those freaking people at 5:30, like I want nothing to do with them. Okay. One, I could be aware of the energetics underneath. Okay. Now it's a lot easier when you have someone else to share with that will just kind of listen. You could create space for yourself. But if you can't, the most effective thing you can do is to actually get fully present or AAA, so awareness, acknowledge, and accept what's so right now. Right. So here's a circumstance I'm perceiving. That's actually a very small part of it. Here's how much energy is available. Here's my emotional states. Here's the location of my observer. And actually just be with that without having to change it. Right? And the part where you're talking about is that bigger why, or like the difference. Usually when you're in that state, the way to get there is to actually see it as a gap. So here's where I'm at right now. Here's another awesome 5:30 a.m. class where the guys actually got to be a little bit better, that good camaraderie, they started their day off right, and it's a huge part of their life, and it just bleeds out, the energy that at the gym just bleeded out, right? Here's where I'm at right now, here's that outcome, here's where I'm at, here's that outcome, and you start going back and forth. So instead of one or the other, you actually see it as a differential. And when you can experience the gap or the differential, it allows me to not be locked into the state. We're having to mentally think about that state, but still be in this state. So that's my opinion, or my experience of it from an energetic standpoint.
Yeah.
Right, and then when you get there, instead of actually having to think I want to do it. It's not even really thinking. It's just it's just what needs to be done. Right, you already have momentum. At Tony Robbins' seminars, one of the main themes he always presents is that the strongest force acting on a person is their desire to be consistent with their identity. Right.
I've
so
heard that,
so you have an identity as a fiance, a yoga teacher, right? A daughter, as whatever. And then there's rules that are already a part of that identity.
Yeah.
Right. And there's ways of being that are congruent with that. And then when you're outside of that, well, what do we say? That's not me. right? But that's not actually real. Because if you think of like a lot of the extraordinary stuff that you've done in your life, that's it's not even like, it's like, holy shit, like I never do that, right? And then like you did it, well then which one's actually you? Which one actually had you feel more alive? Right? Which one did you feel like you were actually guided and you were just, you almost had like more ability, more intelligence to just accomplish, right? But we'll always say like, that's not me. It's because it's not consistent with our identity, right? So like, noticing the rules of our identity and kind of like what it allows us to do will allow us to actually be present and acknowledge and accept what's there a lot more effectively. So back to the original question. So you read the book, right?
Yeah.
And then that part really resonated with you. What did it really like help you with? Like in the moment, like was there something that you were maybe struggling with, or is it like it was just like this, like everything kind of connected and it was clear? Like,
things connected and were clear. Yeah. But there was nothing really happening at that moment.
Yeah.
I just kind of highlighted some parts of my past, like some experiences I've had, and like, oh yeah.
I would say like as you were telling the story, one of the biggest things I got was like, if someone else isn't their perspective is different from mine, like that's still a perspective, and it's another human being with a perspective. And
Wait,
and
what?
like if someone has a perspective that's different from mine, that's still another like human being, like with a perspective. And it's like what I kind of like opened up for me was like we still have like an ability to like just respect a fellow human being and have like a completely different perspective. It's not like one or the other, which is a lot of what we're seeing now. It's like, wow, like you can actually totally disagree with someone and still feel connected to them.
Yeah.
Like so that's actually like something that came up for me as you were telling that story.
Cool.
Yeah.
We both got different things out of the story.
Yeah. I'm like, she's talking vampire. Like, where the hell is she going with this?
This
story?
is a really cool book, though. It's because it's all, while reading it, it feels like very. It's very good at just kind of like wiggling at and tugging at some of your beliefs, because they do like miracles and extraordinary things in it.
So is it like a fiction or nonfiction?
It's fiction.
Okay.
But it also definitely has like threads of truth in it.
What got you interested in
this one? I've opened to this page so many times, so I gotta read it.
Okay.
Because in this book, they also talk about like you can open up any page, you can ask a question, and then just go to any book, open up any page, and read what's there and get what you can from it. And it's fun. I like that. So I was like, I'm gonna do it, and I've opened to this page so many times. So it says, if you will practice being fictional for a while, you will understand that fictional characters are sometimes more real than people with bodies and heartbeats. And that's actually kind of what you were talking about before, of like what I have these roles and this is me, but that's not me.
Yeah.
And if you just practice being fictional, practice being something you desire, then you can actually, that is you. Because where your attention goes, you create, if you keep it there long enough.
Yeah. I mean, I could even say like with you, right? Like I have like what I think you are, your personality.
Yeah.
And like there's like stuff you've done, like I have no like, there's no way, right? Like with how much, like for example, right? Like when I first, like with how much like pressure you put on yourself, right? Like then to go and like teach your first yoga class in front of like 20 to 30 people, right? Like the amount of like freak out and stress and like, how miserable I would imagine it was going to be, because like if everything has to be in control and it's your first class, right? Like, and I just, you know, because I even know a lot of people, for example, that like schedule something at the gym. They're supposed to come to their first class, so they're just coming to the gym, right? I'm like, okay, don't worry, I'll shadow you. Doesn't matter how much experience you have, we'll take it easy. You won't do anything outside of like something you can't do, right? And then it doesn't happen often, but probably like 10, 15% end up canceling just because they're so nervous or they freak out.
Yeah.
And they just quit, right? So like, there's something about like pushing through that than actually like doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, and that's where this idea of like only doing what you want to do, it can be used in a way that's not helpful.
Yeah, but I will say this: I don't think there's anyone that actually quits who like get connected to like really like the big,
what
like
they really
like
want.
authentically what they really want, their big picture, and then we're like, you know what, I made the right decision, right? They either chose comfort, they drop, for lack of a better word, they drop their energy, or they chose stability to not go outside the comfort zone. And it's like, it's something where to reinforce that identity, they have to come up with reasons and excuses for it. And then like when I say excuse, it's not like a negative, it's just like, here's the reason why I didn't do it, right? But like, there's something about it that actually like called you in the first place, right? And you literally just pushed it down.
Yeah.
Like, you just didn't go and like choose that one instead. So
I feel like also there are many that don't even ask themselves what they want. They don't think about that very often, or if ever, like, what do I actually want?
Yeah, and like there's some like basic universal truths, right? It's like when you have caused other people pain, where you get connected to the pain that other people are experiencing, there is a natural compassion, empathy that you feel, right? Like that's our nature at our core. Like human beings aren't like inherently bad. Like at least like that's my belief. We're inherently actually good, right? And there's some people that are disconnected from that, but we're still inherently good, like the way we're wired. Or when we experience like love and connection, right? And like the even the chemical releases like our body produces, like we're rewarded for actually being in that state.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Like we're biologically rewarded for doing those things, and when it's not that, it doesn't matter how you want to spin it or justify it. It's not. It actually wasn't what you truly wanted. You know, it's like, or to put it another way, it's like, how do you actually produce more value? How do you make more of a difference in the world? Like it's always just that, right? And then when you're not doing that, it doesn't feel as good. Yeah, it feels more comfortable.
Well, it feels good.
Yeah, but then again, like some of the most awesome feelings are. I don't know, no one ever describes the most awesome feelings in the world as comfortable. Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, like even like joy, exhilaration. You know, like no one describes it as comfortable. Yeah. But like, there's nothing to talk about with that. Is there anything else?
You asked why I liked the book.
Yeah, why do you like the book?
It's just really good.
That's just really good. What's it called again?
It's Illusions, The
Illusions.
Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah. One of my clients mentioned this book to me.
It's how many pages?
It's short and easy
So
to
very
read.
big letters and 160 pages. I
Yeah.
probably just like 2 hours, right?
Yeah, it's a quick read.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of fun to read just little bits of, and then kind of let it like
Yeah.
soak in and think about what was said in it though too. Because
Okay.
it's all like, I mean, anything is possible in this book. Like they like swim in the earth and walk on water.
You actually posted about this on Instagram today. Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I would actually say, yeah, and even from like a physics standpoint, depending on how you want to define it, if you can even imagine something, it actually exists in a certain reality,
yeah,
right? Maybe not in this like 3D or 4D, however you want to call it, like reality.
yeah,
But if you can imagine something,
it exists somewhere.
from a mathematical standpoint, it exists in a reality, right? And it just, you know, that's where you get in like very, very like trippy. So yeah, I feel like as a whole our, and like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, probably more like 15 years ago, I would have been way more on that side. Like I would have been like the stereotypical like atheist. Right? I'm like, people that are religious are just people that are scared of death. There's no like spirituality. Like when you die, you literally just stop breathing and the cells start operating,
Yeah,
just
very
go to the dirt and
scientific.
you just melt in. Like, you know, it's just there's just, you know, there's no evidence of that. There's no proof of that.
Yeah.
And like I was very, very wow, like thinking about it, like I was very like, you know, like that's what science is there for. And like, you know, it's like people that just want to like see all this stuff, you can't prove it scientifically, right? And like it's like I have like a complete 180 now.
Yeah.
Right. And I will say this, well, no, this might be the clip that I clip, but it might be like very offensive or controversial. I cringe, not even a little bit, probably between a little bit and a medium amount, whenever I hear someone goes like that's just science, like that's science. Like you have, okay, here's science, okay? And you actually learn about this in school. Science is through observations or being in a way where you set up experiments to gather data, okay? So you start out with a hypothesis, then you try to actually set up experiments so then you can observe what happens to see if you can actually prove your hypothesis.
Right.
Okay, and if you can prove your hypothesis by doing different experiments that can kind of consistently show that that hypothesis holds up, the hypothesis then becomes a theory. Okay, and theories are not like law. Like they actually can break down, like something else comes along that could redefine or alter like what the theory is, then that actually becomes the new
theory.
That becomes the new theory. It's never law, because you can't like, you know, like even like Newton's law was disproved by Einstein, right? And then now like you look at like Einstein's like theory of relativity, when you get into like the quantum realm, like if it starts breaking down, right? So then you're getting into like string theory. We're trying to actually figure out what's going on. Okay. So science is not, here's some hypothesis or theories. It's dogma, and anything else that disproves that, it's just, oh, that's not science. Like, if there's something that shows up that's inconsistent with what's going on now, if you're doing science, then it should actually factor in and like have you reevaluate and update all the time.
Yeah.
Right? It's not some like established thing that can't change, or anything that's not consistent with that, or like, well, look, there's some inconsistencies here. You just push it aside. That's ridiculous. And then the other one is like especially when it comes to people. Okay, so like behaviors of people, and this is why, like, and I'm not even saying there's like a way to do this, right? But if you're getting into theories about people, it is almost impossible to do science, because based on the scientific method, you're supposed to be able to isolate variables, so that you have one independent variable that you do A/B testing, or even more. Like you have to be able to test it, right? You can't control a human being. You can't completely control their environment, and set it up in a way where like you could definitively say, hey, you know what, this was the only variable. Honestly, that's just something that's like some like fantasy world.
Yeah. Right.
So there's all these things, even with experiments. With every experiment, right, there's going to be like factors in that you can't control, especially when it comes to human beings, right? You can make more of a case when it's animals. Is a humane problem in it? No, I don't think it is, right? But like you can't do it with human beings. So like this whole thing about like these like theories who knows if they're actually really in theories that like we have on human beings, with human beings, right? And then we talk about them like they're like the law.
Like they're true.
Yeah, like there's the truth, that's it, and you can't like do anything. And then anyone who disagrees with you is a conspiracy theorist or someone who just doesn't like respect science, like you, it's like you literally don't get what science is, like the spirit of what science actually is, and you're flipping it on the other person, and then telling that person that they don't get science. Like it's freaking wild, right? Like, does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
Right, and then like, and then you imagine like going around the world and like a significant amount of the population actually thinks like this.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit! Like, what is going on?
I mean, it kind of reminds me, because like, it's that idea of like being awake and like asleep at the wheel, but like you just kind of go with what's been said for so long. Yeah. So questioning everything you think sometimes.
Yeah, and then like, and then when enough people actually, and this is the thing, right? Because we actually, we're designed to actually, at a neutral state, we want to fit in, like with the cultural story, or like we don't want to disrupt. We want to actually fit in with the crowd, which is why, if you can demonstrate leadership qualities. I promised Jay we weren't going to talk too much about leadership because he wants to get on and talk about leadership. So I'm going to stop there. But when you demonstrate leadership qualities, essentially you actually stand out.
Yeah.
Right? And then you start shifting the cultural field, and then in a way where you're literally taking responsibility, not just for yourself and other people. Okay? And then other people like could feel like there's a safe space for you to buy in. That's actually what's happening with leadership.
Yeah.
I'll stop there. That's my, okay. So when enough people agree, like, oh, that's not science, then you're like, wait a minute, this just like, from what I understand, this doesn't make sense. But a lot of people actually think that way. Like, am I the crazy one? Am I wrong? Like, maybe they're right. And it's like you start like, even like doubting the validity of like, of what actually goes on. And you could see like this playing out in society right now, and like people buying in. It's like, just because a lot of people agree on, like, since when does science depend on consensus or the majority opinion? That's not what science is based on. Science is dependent on data, right? Data, and then the data should be consistent to support the theory. Mm-hmm. If there's inconsistencies with the data where it doesn't support the theory, then the theory doesn't actually hold up. There's something not like right with it, that you need to start updating or adjusting your theory so the data would actually support that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Zoolander? You know what I'm talking about?
Parts of it. Right? Yeah, I've seen parts of it.
So I literally...
My brother imitates it.
Because it's like
he's like,
it's probably like, it's definitely a top three, like in the comedy, funny movie, it's top 3 favorite, okay? So there's this one scene in there. So the Zoolander, Ben Stiller, he's a model, right? Yeah. And he has like a bunch of different looks. Yeah. It's like this.
Yeah.
Right, so it's like Blue Steel, Magnum, La Tigra, Ferrari, right? Well, Magnum's the one that comes out at the end, like the ultimate one. They're all the same thing. He just does the same thing. It's like, oh, it's Blue Steel. It's like, it looks just like all the other ones, right? Mm-hmm. So Will Ferrell, his name is Mugatu. He literally has a hairstyle that looks like an M. And he has this little dog, and he's a fashion designer, right? At the end, he's a bad guy. He's like, Blue Steel, like La Tigra, Ferrari, like they're all the same thing. What is wrong with you people? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. I would say like over the last like 6 months, and even before, but especially the last 6 months, I've literally played that scene and said that like literally just when quoting that in my head, I probably at least 50 to 100 times. I'm just like, what the it's like I feel like I'm taking like crazy pills here. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah, I feel like it's turned into a rant. But anyways, illusions. Yes. Oh, it's your turn to nominate a song, right?
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, what would you like to say? This might be the episode that gets me canceled.
I don't know. I wouldn't cancel you.
Huh?
I wouldn't cancel you.
I know. Thank you. I would hope so, but this might be it. I'm not going to clip it. Only the 10 people that watch will actually get to decide whether they want to cancel me.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
Because people who will watch us are
yeah.
Of
yeah. Luckily, it's toward the back end,
mine.
so they're like, you know, like.
Yeah, they won't. Maybe they won't.
They would have tuned out. They would have tuned out by the time we got to the vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we're safe.
Okay, so this song I can. I'm not good at remembering titles and names, but it's Lana Del Rey. It's really popular.
Okay. Lana Del Rey.
Yeah. Okay, so the song's, it's one of her really popular ones. It's not a Summertime Sadness. It's the one that's in that
That's exactly
Great
what I was thinking.
It's the one that's in the Great Gatsby movie.
Okay.
I believe it's in it.
We'll just have
I can't even remember the words right now. Hold on. Will you still love me when I no longer young and beautiful? What is the name of that song?
I mean, we're gonna have to look it up.
Whatever.
And find out. All right.
So, first listening to this song that I listened like years ago, I thought it was more like kind of like a negative kind of song, like almost like the words weren't very uplifting. But then I actually listened to the words, and they actually are pretty uplifting, and I like the song, and I just like the feel of the song as well.
All right.
So yeah, enjoy it.
Looking forward to listening to it. What a great podcast. Time to put the pants on.
I've seen the world, done it all, had my cake now. Diamonds brilliant and brilliant now. Hot summer nights, mid-July, when you and I were forever wild. The crazy days, city lights, the way you'd play with me like a child. Will you still love me when I'm no longer young and beautiful? Will you still love me when I got nothing but my aching soul? I know you will, I know you will, I know that you will. Will you still love me when I'm no longer beautiful? I've seen the world, lit it up as my stage now. Channeling angels in the new age now. Hot summer days, rock and roll, the way you play for me at your show, and all the ways I got to know your pretty face and electric soul.